So we were talking about the president. Let's see. And students, can you remind me, how many branches of government do we have?
3 branches.
3 branches.
Good, 3 branches. And what are the names of the 3 branches?
Legislative, executive, judicial.
Good. So yes, we have the legislative, executive, and judicial. Judicial, good. And the legislative branch, we also call Congress. Congress. And the executive is the president. And the judicial is the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, good. So students, who makes federal laws?
Congress.
Mm-hmm. So Congress makes laws. Good. And who signs laws?
The president.
Good, the president. And who vetoes laws?
The president.
Good. And what does the judicial branch do? Yes, they review laws or explain laws. Good, or they explain laws. Good, okay. So now today we'll be looking at the president. Let's look at the president. Okay, so if I said name one branch or part of the government, what would you say?
The president. The president.
Good. So yes, one branch or part of the government, you could say president.
President.
What's another correct answer? You could say Congress. Congress. You could also say the courts. The courts, like the Supreme Court or federal courts. Sometimes if we get, oh, sorry, excuse me. Excuse me. Sometimes if we get a driving ticket, we have to go downtown to the big courthouse and pay the fine for the driving ticket. So that's, the courts are a part of our government. So let's see. So yeah, there are multiple correct answers. You could say president, Congress, or the courts. And who is in charge of the executive branch?
President.
Good, the president. So we can see here, executive, and it's a picture. What building is this? What's the name of this house?
Supreme Court.
It's the White House.
White House.
Good, that's the White House. And who lives in the White House?
President.
President, good. So we can see, So the president lives in the White House, and they are also in charge of. And what does in charge of mean?
Executive branch.
What does it mean to be in charge of? You are the leader.
The leader.
So someone who is
Charge of the leader.
someone who is in charge of something is the leader. Like in a class, the teacher is in charge of the class. Or like the House of Representatives. Who's in charge of the House of Representatives?
The president.
The president.
This one, who's the leader of the Speaker of the House?
Oh, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi.
Good, yeah, so for the House of Representatives, the Speaker is in charge of it, and that is Nancy Pelosi. Good. Okay, so let's practice. Muter leer, name one branch or part of the government.
The president.
President, good. Nilar U, who is in charge of the executive branch?
The president.
Good. See, Jalal, name one branch or part of the government.
President?
The president, good. Yeah, for both of these questions, you could say the president. That would be correct. Let's see. Pome, who is in charge of the executive branch?
The president.
The president, good. Okay, let's keep going. Whoops. That's wrong screen. Okay. And we elect a president for how many years?
4
years.
4 years, good. And the 4 years, we call it a term. Term is a period of time or an amount of time. So we call it a 4-year term. That's the amount of time they can be president for. So like I said, we voted for president in 2020. What year will we vote for president again?
34.
Good, 2024. Good. And what is the name of the president of the United States now?
Joe Biden.
Good. Joe Biden. And has Joe Biden been president 1 time or 2 times?
1.
He's been president 1 time.
1 time.
He has been vice president 2 times.
2 times.
2 times. You can be vice president and president. But what is the most time anyone can be president for? How many years is the total amount you can be president for?
8.
Good, yeah. So people cannot be president for longer than 8 years. So like Joe Biden won in 2020, and if he wins again in 2024, then he'll be president from 2020 to 2028, but then he cannot be president ever again. So after 8 years, you're finished. Good.
Sleeping.
Sleeping. Good. Yeah, you can go relax.
Retirement.
Yeah, you can go for retirement.
Yeah, go to
Awesome.
Florida, looking for
Yeah.
beach.
Go to Florida.
California.
California. Yeah, go somewhere warm.
Warm, yes. Don't stay there.
Yeah,
They're cold.
good. Okay, so let's practice. Let's see. Hasina, we elect a president for how many years?
4 years.
Good. And La, what is the name of the president of the United States now?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Good. And Abdul Shakur, we elect a president for how many years?
8 years.
Oh, 8 is the total, but how many at one time?
For one person. 4 years.
4 years. Good. And Sanuwara, what is the name of the president of the United States?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Good. Okay, let's keep going. In what month do we vote for president?
November.
November. Good. And oh, I forgot to say at the beginning of class, happy sweet December, everyone.
Yes, happy December. A lot of people celebrate for December.
Yes, December is, it's a long month, but it's so beautiful. So many religions and people celebrate with lights. I like December a lot, even though it's cold and dark.
And Tisha already shopping for December?
Did I go, sorry, can you say that again?
You already there shopping for December?
Shopping? Not yet, no.
Not yet? Oh.
I tend to wait until the last minute, then hurry, 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 shopping, shopping, shopping.
I miss morning there was snow. I like snow.
Yeah, I like snow, so you're
I'm waiting for snow. I need to play.
Well, you should talk to Teacher Mitch. Teacher Mitch loves snow.
Oh, my friend.
Oh, nice, good. And students, how do we spell November?
N-O-V-E-M.
November. Good. November. Keep going. Okay, so now let's look at page 142. 142. And who would like to read for me?
Vice President.
Kanya Pa, will you read for me?
President. If there's something happening to the president, who will be our leader?
Good. Yeah, so we can see here. Who is she?
Who?
Good. Yeah, that's the vice president, and her name is
Kamala
Kamala
Harris.
Harris. Good. And so the vice president helps the president. But let's say something happens to the president. Like 2 weeks ago, the president had to have surgery.
Oh.
And because of the surgery, you know, when you have surgery, they give you the medicine, anesthesia, and it makes you sleep. So you are not conscious. You are not awake. So when the president was having surgery, he could not be awake to make decisions. So during that time, Kamala Harris was president for 3 or 4 hours because Joe Biden was having surgery. If something bad happened, let's say if, if somebody attacked the United States and Joe Biden was in surgery, he cannot make a decision for what to do. So that's why Kamala Harris was president for a few hours while he was in surgery. So if something happens to the president, who will be the leader?
The vice president.
Vice President.
Vice President.
Good, the vice president.
President.
Good. The vice president. So what we call that is if the president can no longer serve, which means cannot do the job. Like we see here, what is happening to this person?
President.
Yes.
In the picture? What is this guy doing to the other guy?
Somebody like fighting for out.
Yeah, they're kicking him out. You know, sometimes, so if somebody cannot do the job, sometimes people will get fired. Like if you're fired from a job, you lose your job. So let's say if the president does something illegal, if the president commits a crime or breaks the law, then they cannot be president. Then the vice president will become president. Or also, like we were saying, if the president becomes sick, or if the president dies, then they can no longer be president. So if the president can no longer serve, so if the president cannot do the job, then the vice president is the new president. Okay? And then, but now the question is, oh yeah, we'll do these questions first. So what is the name of the vice president of the United States now?
Kamala
Kamala Harris. And if the president can no longer serve, who becomes the president?
The Vice President.
The vice president. Good. So let's see. Nant Win, what is the name of the vice president of the United States now?
Kamala Harris.
Good. And Safan, if the president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
By the vice president.
Good, good. And let's see, Gaitha, what is the name of the vice president of the United States now?
Kamala Harris.
Good. And Kome, if the president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
The vice president.
The vice president. Good. Now let's look at what happens if both, on page 143, if both the president and the vice president can no longer serve. who becomes the new president?
The speaker of the
Speaker of
the speaker of the house.
Good. So the order is, first is the president. If they can no longer serve, vice president. But if both the president and vice president can no longer serve, then number 3 is the speaker. Yeah. Speaker of the, and how do I spell house?
House.
Good. So yeah, number 3, Speaker of the House. Good. Okay, who would like to read for me on page 144?
Me, teacher.
Okay.
The president is the leader of the U.S. Army. The president is the how do you say teacher?
Commander
Commander
in chief.
chief of the teacher, how do you
Military.
military. Yes.
Good. So the military, it's like how we talk about that yes or no vocabulary word, like a military unit. So when we talk about a military unit, we're talking about the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. So a military unit, remember, is the, or you tell me, what is a military unit?
Military.
Army, Navy,
Army,
A group of Navy soldiers.
Good. Yeah. And it's also a group
A group
of soldier.
of soldiers
protect the
protect the government.
yeah, who protect the government. Good. Also, who also protect the country.
Protect the country.
The country. Good. So the president doesn't go and fight with the military, but the president is the leader. And we call the leader of the military the commander in chief. So if you hear commander in chief, that is, we're talking about the leader of the army or the president. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about this?
No.
No? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, who would like to read on page 145?
Me, teacher.
Okay, Mutirler.
The president has a group of people who hire to run the government. The group as cabinet, the
cabinet.
The cabinet.
Good. So this, sorry students, this picture is a little blurry, but in the front we have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And then we have a lot of people behind them. So in the executive branch, the leader, who's the leader of the executive branch? who is the leader of the executive branch?
President.
The president. Good. And then who is number 2? Who's under the president?
Vice
Harris.
Vice President.
Good. Vice president.
Yes.
And then the number 3 is what we call the cabinet.
Cabinet.
Cabinet. Good. So we say the cabinet advises the president. The cabinet advises the president. And what does advises mean?
Help.
Yep. To help
To help.
or to give advice. Like sometimes when we have problems, we go to our friends, maybe we go to our husband or wife, our children, our teachers, and we go to get advice. So advice is to help someone. So all of these people we see in this picture, they help the president and the vice president to make decisions. So it's a group of people all working together. Remember, when they wrote the Constitution, they did not want a king. So that's why we have lots of people who make decisions about our government, because they don't just want one person, they want a lot of people working together. Good. So the president cabinet, we say, advises or helps the president. Would someone like to read on page 146? Who would like to read for me? Maybe Nant Nguyen, would you read for me?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you.
There are 50 people in the president's cabinet.
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 Of the 50 cabinet leaf position is secretary
Yeah. Secretary.
Secretary of State.
State.
The Secretary of State is the President's one executive.
Good. Number 1.
Number 1
Advisor.
Guidance.
And can someone tell me, what is an advisor? So advisor is the same as advises. So somebody who is an advisor is someone who to help someone. So Secretary of State means the Secretary of State, he's the number 1 person in the cabinet to give advice or to help the president. So you'll see this with many of the titles for people in the cabinet. They call them Secretary of State, or we have Secretary of Education, which that person gives advice about schools. You know, education is when we go to school and learn. And there are 15 people total in the cabinet. So the cabinet is very big. And the president gets, every time we get a new president, we get a new cabinet. The president gets to pick his cabinet. Okay. So the president is the one who picks the 15 people to help him. So we'll look at the next page. So here's another person in the president's cabinet. If you look at page 147, we call this man the Secretary of Labor. So I want to hear everyone say that. Secretary
Secretary of Labor.
Labor. Good. And students, can you remind me, what does labor mean?
Work. To work.
To work. Good.
Work.
So the Secretary of Labor advises the president about American workers and jobs. So if you're Secretary of Labor, he does a lot of research and he helps the president make decisions about workers and jobs, how to help American workers. Good. Keep going. So, okay, we know the two positions we've talked about already. We have Secretary of State
And Secretary of Labor.
Secretary of Labor. Does anyone know any other of the cabinet level positions?
Secretary of Education.
Of Education. What else? Secretary of
Energy.
Energy. Good. Good. Does anyone know any of the other ones? Secretary
of Agriculture.
So we also have a Secretary of
Defense.
Defense. So that one helps making decisions about the Army. So there's 15 positions total. Oh, another one. Attorney General. That is the lawyer for the president. Good. So there's many correct answers we can see for this question. So this 100 question asks, what are two cabinet level positions?
Secretary of State.
And Secretary of Men on Labor.
Good. So you can pick any two from this list. So let's see. Hasina, what is one cabinet level position? Just give me one.
Secretary of
Secretary of
State.
Of State. Good. Let's see. Okay. And Nilar U, what is another cabinet level position?
Secretary of Commerce.
Oh yeah, good. That's another one that's not on this list. Good job. Secretary of Commerce, of Business. Very good, Nilar. Great, thank you. Let's see. La, what is another cabinet level position?
Secretary of Labor.
Secretary of Labor. Good. Let's see. Ume, what is another cabinet level position?
Secretary of Defense.
Secretary of Defense. Good. See, Gultaj, what is another cabinet level position? Secretary of, sorry, I didn't hear you. Of Education? Yeah, good. So you can see all of these answers would be correct. But you, for the 100 questions, you only have to pick 2. So whichever 2 are the easiest for you to remember, those are the 2 you should practice, okay? So the 2 in the book are Secretary of State and Secretary of Labor. But if during your interview, if you said Secretary of Education or Secretary of Commerce, that would also be correct. Sometimes in the book, for our new students, there are some 100 questions that have a lot or many different correct answers. So the book will pick a few of the correct answers. Sometimes they pick 1 or 2 of the correct answers to practice. But there are also other correct answers. So all of these would be right to say during your interview. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then let's just finish really quickly. Let's practice. So if both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, who becomes president?
Speaker of
Vice
the House.
Good. Speaker of the House. So this is where you have to listen carefully, because this question says if both the president and the vice
President.
good. So if both the president and the vice president can no longer serve, then we have the Speaker of the House. And what is the name of the Speaker of the House?
Nancy Pelosi.
Good. Nancy Pelosi. Good. What about who is the commander-in-chief of the military?
President.
Good. The president. The president. What about what does the president's cabinet do?
To have
I just pressed that. My sister.
Advises the
The
president. Good. So we say the cabinet advises
Advises
the president.
president.
Good. Advises the
Advises
president. Whoops. And what are 2 cabinet level positions?
Secretary of State. Secretary of Labor.
Of Labor. Good. So those are the 2 answers in the book. But if you like other ones better, you can give those as well. Good. Good job, everyone. And let's just look at this matching really quick. So what does president mean? Or sorry, what's something the president does?
Commander
Commander-in-Chief.
Good.
Commander-in-Chief.
Chief of military.
Good. So one of the things the president does is they are the commander-in-chief of the military. Oh, and students, this is page 148. So if you look at your books, this matching is on page 148 in your books. Okay, then let's see. What about, what does the cabinet do?
Group the
Group
head
that has the
president.
president.
Good. A cabinet, we say, is the group that helps the president. And what does advise mean?
Help.
Good. So advise means to help.
To have.
What is the military?
Military is army.
Army and
Navy.
Good.
Army,
Military is Army and Navy.
And Navy.
What about, let's see, what about the White House? What's the White House?
the president.
The president home.
Good. The White House is the president's home. President's home. What about the secretary?
Cabinet member.
Governor member.
Good. A secretary we call a cabinet member. The secretary is the cabinet member. What does labor mean?
Work.
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 Labor is work. And then the very last one, what about can no longer serve?
Cannot.
Work.
Good, yeah. So can no longer serve means
Cannot.
cannot work. Cannot work. Does anyone have any questions about these answers?
No.
No? Yeah. We have the president, commander-in-chief. Here, let me I'll put the numbers. So commander-in-chief matches with number 1, the president. And then the cabinet
Yes.
is a group that helps the
Get
president. So that's number 2. Advise means to help. So that's number 3. Military is the Army or Navy. So that's number 4. White House is the president's home. So that's number 5.
Three.
The secretary is a cabinet member. So that's 6. Labor means work. So that's 7. And can no longer serve means cannot work. So that's number 8.
8.
Well, good job today, everybody.